supported a lot of. Oh, okay, got it. She's been an ally of ours, and I know that I look forward to working with her. I think the rest of the staff here Speak for the Trees, and many of us all, supported her in her campaign. And now that she's mayor, we'll get to work with her in the future, hopefully, to make some important changes around Boston, particularly around the tree canopy, environmental issues, and many other things that we are concerned about. And hopefully, our new mayor will be attentive to those issues and will be able to work with us. I wanted to start with our community updates. So we have an open forum for community updates. We have a few more minutes to do that before we have some featured or some targeted updates from a couple of organizations that are part of Boston Urban Forest Friends. The floor is yours. If anyone has any updates, please, let's hear them. All right.
Can I just interrupt real quick?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
But I just wanted to give a slightly larger invitation for those of you who are joining for the first time, just to make sure you're in the right place. This is the Boston Urban Forest Friends. We are a group of individuals and organizations that meet monthly. Is it the second Friday of every month at 11? We do have a website. Maybe Natalie can drop it in the chat window for us. We have a listserv too. And we invite all people, whether or not you live in Boston, to join us, listen, share ideas, share updates. Very informal. It's meant to be a place of meeting and convening, just to keep a pulse on what's going on. And we really look to grow this network in a way that elevates all the important work that everyone is doing. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're an old timer, let's welcome the new people. And if those of you if you want to just drop in the chat window, your name and organization. I know some people are going to be presenting today. You'll have a chance to meet them. I just want to shout out to Jarrell, who's managing this from Speak for the Trees end. He's our community outreach manager. And then we have Natalie, who'll be taking notes. She is our TerraCore member for a second year in a row, who started Buff last year. And we're always looking for you all to help us drive this work. So if you have a community update, feel free to share it. If there's a project or a committee that you want to start, we intentionally carve out this space for space and time to convene and listen. So there's no set agenda month to month, other than what you all bring to the table. So I appreciate you all joining us, and we have had in the past guest speakers. We will continue to do that. I think this week it's more focus. This month's meeting is more focused on updates and checking in.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. So with that said, Sarah had her hand up, and then Allison, please feel free to give us some updates.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Freeman, JP, Arbor Way Coalition, Emerald Necklace Conservancy Park Advisor, and other green and transportation causes. I wanted to let people know that there continues to be conversations around the Shattuck Hospital and Franklin Park and the Arbor Way Yard bus facility, and looking at those 31 acres of mostly state-owned land, and trying to figure out the right location for a variety of needs. The Emerald Necklace Conservancy has been trying to find a way to be able to return up to 13 acres of parkland that was repurposed for the hospital. There's going to be an opportunity to have a conversation about that. They've been holding a series of lunch and learns, presentations, and Q&A. There's going to be one next week, but I don't have the time and date yet. I'll put my email address in the chat, and if anyone would like to be invited, please contact me, and then when their details are set, I'll reach out to you, please.
Thank you, Sarah. And I just dropped the link for the, I don't know if it's the right link, but it's the first link that came up on Google Emerald Necklace Conservancy's page that's about this, so you can read more on their website.
Thank you, Sarah. Allison, you're a second, and then Kendra.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Pulcinus from Mission Hill. Just kind of a overview. It pales in next to the 31 acres, but our friends at Milneacast Boulevard are also following the parcel 3 development, and the RFP was just issued 2 weeks ago. It's 7 acres of open land at Columbus Tremont, next to the across from police headquarters, next to the Whittier Health Center and the Reggie Lewis Center. And also in not too far away, there's 2 other sites that I'm personally following, open land on Parker and Terrace in Mission Hill. It's 3 very large lots, one of them with some very nice trees that the Department of Neighborhood Development wants to put out for development of housing. And the third one is the Simmons College residential campus, Brookline Avenue between Pilgrim Road, and there's some very nice large trees there. So what I wanted to bring up is the concept of citizens doing what we did with Milneacast, which is to identify the particular trees that are really significant and actually put them on a map, but also to tie a strip of fabric around them and measure them and say, this is a sugar maple, this is a red oak. And doing that can help both with advocacy with other people, but also with the city. It worked with the Crescent parcel. People from Milneacast advocacy group, we identified 2 large elms and some other trees, lindens on the Crescent parcel, which is at Tremont and Milneacast. And when that RFP was put out, the city specifically said those trees had to be saved. So that's my update. Thanks.
Thank you, Allison. Kendra?
Hi everyone, my name is Kendra. I'm the Climate Justice Coordinator for the Fairmount Indigo CDC Collaborative, which is an umbrella organization for 3 CDCs in the Dorchester, Hyde Park, and Rosendale areas, Dorchester Bay EDC, Godman Square NDC, and Southwest Boston CDC. This is my first time at the meeting, so thanks for inviting me, and I look forward to learning more about what you are all doing. But I just wanted to throw out there that the Fairmount Indigo Collaborative is hiring for a community organizer right now, and I'll share that job description in the chat if anyone is interested or knows anyone who's interested and would like to share that with their network. That would be much appreciated. And also send my email if anyone has questions or is interested in more about what we're doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Kendra. Thank you for emailing me this morning as well. Thank you. All right, Bill, it's up to you. That's on you, buddy.
Okay, thank you, Jarrell. I'm Bill Masterson with Treat Eastie. Just wanted to say hi to everybody and provide a little bit of an update on what's been happening since the last BUF meeting in East Boston. So last month, the weekend of October 18th, 19th, 17th, 18th, 19th, a bunch of volunteers came together, dug holes, and we planted 12 street trees in East Boston in Eagle Hill, which is one of the highest heat island zones in East Boston or in the city of Boston. So really proud of that work. We were able to work out a program through Speak for the Trees in the city of Boston that allowed us to be able to plant street trees, which was really cool. And we plan to do more in the spring. The other tree planting exercise that took place a couple of weeks ago is that we've developed a good relationship with Paul Sutton, who runs the Boston Urban Wilds, the Parks and Recreation Urban Wilds. And there's an urban wild in East Boston on Marginal Street called the Rockies. And there were some fruit trees there, but we were in the process now of turning it into an orchard. So we planted, with Paul's help, and again, with funding that we've received, we planted 9 fruit trees in the Rockies, and we'll plant some more in the spring. And these are good sized fruit trees. They were about 6 feet tall. They should bear fruit within the next couple of years. All the fruit that comes from those trees in the fall will be redistributed back into the East Boston community in a partnership with Eastie Farm, which is really cool. So Paul is on board working with us. We've got a great group that's taking care of these trees, watering them, and looking forward to a nice harvest next fall. The work that we're going to be doing over the winter, there are 2 things that we're going to be focusing on. And I'd love some input from folks if you have any experience in these areas. The first is we really want to be able to do a tree education program in East Boston for East Boston residents, bilingual. More than 50% of the residents in East Boston are Spanish speaking. So we're going to be putting together a program. Primarily, the thought is kind of using door hangers or other literature to be able to go into the community to put into people's hands to be able to talk to them about the benefits of trees, because a lot of people undermine the value that they provide to the community, not in the community that's created around a tree as well. Most of them don't realize that you could dial 311 to get a street tree. It might take a couple of years, but at least they get on the list. So education program is high on our list for the fall. And then the other that's a big nut that we need to crack is working with developers to be able to get them to incorporate trees as part of their design. We find the larger developments that are going on in East Boston, and there's a lot of development going on here, do a pretty good job of including trees in their design. It's the small and mid-sized developments. A developer comes in and buys a 2-family and wants to convert it to a 4-family. They're going to dig up the sidewalks. They're going to be putting $1 million, $2 million into the renovation. $5,000 for 2 street trees isn't a lot to ask. It's going to help with their value of their property, and it's also going to help when they go to the neighborhood associations to try to get their support for these renovations. It's going to help them be able to get neighborhood support as well. So that's a big opportunity for us if we can just get 50 developments of developers in East Boston to plant 2 street trees. There's 100 more street trees. Most of the property in East Boston is pretty small. The land mass is pretty small, so it's tough to plant a tree on the property, but on the street, which the city is in favor of, and they're happy to have the developer do the work themselves, is a big opportunity for us. So
I just want to acknowledge for those of you who do this type of work, all the work the invisible work that you don't see. Bill has been working it took about 1.5 years to get an MOU with the city around street tree plantings. And that was a huge lift. And I just want to acknowledge that Bill does all this work as a volunteer in Tree Eastie. He's built something really, really grassroots and wonderful. And Bill, I just want to, as you were speaking, I was just thinking, how cool would it be if we had like a Tree Razi, a Tree Dorchester, these neighborhood focused partnering organizations, and your model is really something that's exemplary and exciting, and bringing people together in a really powerful way. So
thank you.
Fantastic work.
Thank you.
All volunteer.
Thanks. And I think we've created a pretty good template. So some folks from Winthrop reached out, as you know, David, a couple of weeks ago, trying to do the same thing. And all of the stuff that we've gone through for the past couple of years are hurdles that were a learning experience for us, that if we can share with any one of these communities, it just takes a lot of the guesswork and the hard work out of the process. So happy to share any of that with anyone at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, Melissa, it's on you.
Hi, thanks, Gerald. Just wanted to offer up a suggestion for potentially a guest during one of the future meetings. And I just want to say how up I feel when I come to these meetings, particularly as I watch the closing day of COP26, because it really gives me a sense that there are things happening in our neighborhoods and in our place that really can make a difference, in people's lives as we adapt to a new world. But I was thinking about the experience, and again, I've mentioned this before, that Cambridge became the first city in New England to plant a Miyawaki forest. And I do think this is possible to do in any of the areas, including Eastie, Bill, and Ethan Voke, who I think you know was with us when we did the planting over in Cambridge. We've talked about the potential for this in even in East Boston, where space is slim. You only need the equivalent of 6 parking spaces to create a Miyawaki forest. It can be an incredible opportunity, not only for the community to get engaged in a project like this, but also the benefits that come from it. So Gerald, if you see an opening and you're interested, the people from Biodiversity for Livable Climate were the ones who were spearheading this in Cambridge. And they have some great expertise on both how to do it within a community, how to convince a city to do it, but also actually just the mechanics of doing it. So I just offer that as a suggestion if people are interested for a future meeting.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Ethan and I have talked about this, and we've actually talked about possibly doing a mirror installation in East Boston, in Chelsea, across the Chelsea River, Chelsea Creek, which would be pretty cool to do as well. And there's an Urban Wilds that is right on the Chelsea River in East Boston that we could put it, I think we could put it in. So that'd be cool to do a mirror sort of thing between the two.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Okay.
All right, thank you, Bill, Melissa, thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna move on, and we're gonna have some updates from Gas Leaks Allies. I believe Anya Camargo is with us. Are you there, Anya?
Hi, so I since this is my first time with this group, I'm not super sure how much people know, but I will. So I coordinate the Gas Leaks Allies, which is a group of about 32 nonprofits and many researchers, economists, advocates. And we started in 2015 after we started to read about the number of gas leaks in Boston, but also across the state. And I just want to step back a little bit, which is the way we found out about them are the people who started advocating for fixing gas leaks were people who cared about trees. So the first person was a man named Bob Ackley, who you all may know. And he used to work for the gas utilities, and it would drive him nuts because he would see that leaks were killing trees, and yet the gas companies were not fixing the gas leaks, even if there were these big, beautiful legacy trees. The gas companies didn't have to fix them. And so he quit the gas companies, created his own firm, and started to become sort of a whistleblower. And then that led to Professor Nathan Phillips starting to map gas leaks in the Boston area. So there was a report that came out in 2014 that said there were over 3,500 gas leaks in Boston, enough to heat 200,000 homes a year, costing $90 million. And that was sort of the genesis of getting the Gas Leaks Allies together to fix leaks. And many, many people who joined initially were people who loved trees, and it was about saving the trees. So anyway, so that's our background as an organization. We have been advocating on legislation and regulation, and we're very solutions oriented. So figuring out how to transition gas utilities from gas to non-emitting renewable thermal. And this year, or rather this legislative cycle, we have submitted 3 bills to the legislature. One of them is about, it's called the Future of Heat, which is asking gas utilities to transition from selling gas to renewable thermal, primarily through networked heat pumps, which we can talk about another time. Another one is about fixing gas leaks. And that one has protections for trees. It has 2 protections. And then the third one is the Municipal Reforestation Bill, which you all may have heard of. And it is about really getting money in the budget to have every municipality have like urban tree plans, and having that be part of what every municipality does, prioritizing under canopied communities with the goal of having every community have like a 60% tree covering. So any town or piece of a town that has a lower amount of tree canopy would get more funds, or get the funds initially. And the idea is that as we start planting trees and caring for trees, then every community in Massachusetts would have a beautiful urban forest. So that is what that bill is about. So I just wanted to, so I think the reason why I was invited to talk today is because we had a hearing for the first 2 bills last week and we organized testimony in a powerful way where people didn't repeat the same thing, but we actually created panels where we touched on every aspect of why these things matter, like why we need to transition off of gas and why we need to protect trees. And we have the municipal reforestation bill is going to be heard most likely the week or the week after Thanksgiving. So we are going to be organizing testimony for that, and we are hoping that people who love trees can testify in it's on Zoom, and it's a 3-minute testimony, and we would organize it again in panels in terms of, economic benefits and equity and disproportionate, the science behind it and like why trees matter and what are the financing mechanisms. We would try to organize it that way, but I'd like to just make a pitch to you all who love trees that this is really a way to start making sure that each one of our communities has the expertise and gets money to be able to plant more trees and care for more trees. It really cares about economic development, like community-based economic development and having jobs in the community and training people in the community to care for trees. So hoping that you all are willing to testify. So anyway, David or Gerald, did you want me to say anything else? Claire.
I see Claire. Yeah, I see Claire raising her hand.
I just
Okay.
wanted to add, hi, so David and I work with Ania on the gas leaks trees working group, and we worked with some other organizations and successfully advocated for money in the ARPA funds that the legislature is now figuring out how to give out all this federal relief funding that they have to allocate in different ways. So I'm pretty sure it's looking good. It's included in both the Senate and the House versions that $25 million will be allocated towards expanding the Greening the Gateway Cities program beyond gateway cities, so that those funds can be used for tree planting and maintenance in other urban areas. So that's really good news.
Thank you. And if Marilyn were here, we would thank her profusely for all her hard work on this. She really spearheaded the legislation writing, did a lot of research. And if you don't know about the Greening the Gateway Cities program, I will drop a link in. It's a model for us and the Gas Leaks Allies thinking about how our work might be more effective, but also I think it's a model that other states are looking at and how to regreen urban areas. So it's an exciting time, and if we had all day, we could run a webinar on this, and we can run a webinar one day about federal legislation that's pending. And if that's of interest, we can definitely think about that as a buff topic.
And Sarah Freeman, who has testified for Trees for Us in several city council hearings over the years, thank you, Sarah, is asking if you are willing to testify, if you could email Claire or David. I think that would be, I think we'll be organizing panels. And then sort of based on your area of expertise and interest, we would slot you in to say what you feel passionate about.
Okay, Molly has her hand raised.
Yeah, I was just curious if there's any members from the Alliance that are involved in the urban forest plan, in the CAB or any other related engagement, and if this, topic is being raised as part of that process.
Of the Gas Leaks Allies. So I mean, I don't know, Claire, you can answer that question. We have we have probably like 8 tree groups in the Gas Leaks Allies. So Claire?
I believe David is on the CAB, and I am not, but I'm not sure if it has come up in the.
It has. Sorry, like a little reference. That's Molly Henry from American Forest. She works in urban forestry and is our liaison between Boston and American Forest. And American Forest is a subcontractor on the urban forest plan that the city is doing. So just a little context. Molly, that has not really come up. And I think part of it is the timing and part of it is the nature of how things have been shared. through the cabs. I think it's really the city is interested in a different level of understanding where things stand. It would be good to update them. Yeah, let's talk about what might be the best way, because it's also a question of like, where's their capacity right now to incorporate that without overwhelming the entire process.
Just make sure that they incorporate that we should not be planting trees where there are gas leaks. Drives me
Yes.
crazy. Like on my street, there were gas leaks and the tree would die. They plant a new tree, the tree would die. And we knew.
So
like,
Anita, you're gonna be very happy to hear that someone just donated for us a gas meter.
oh, fantastic.
So I'm really excited. Guys, it's in my, where's Natalie and Jarrell? It's in my house waiting for me to bring it to the office.
It is incredible because each tree is like $600 and I begged the city, don't plant it, please. There's a gas leak. And they plant it and it dies.
So Molly, I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what it kind of is telling me is that this hasn't really been documented as an issue maybe and raised. And I just want to make sure that that is kind of in the narrative somewhere, because it is an important issue and we should not be using resources where they're just going to get wasted. So
Yeah. There's a really good study that we did in Chelsea that Bob, who's in our coalition, who started this whole thing, he did it in Chelsea, and he actually did a scientific study that showed that the trees were dying because of the gas leaks. Like it was causal. It was a causal relationship between gas leaks and the amount, when they took out the dead trees, they had methane in the root zone, like a lot of it.
So Molly, I put in the chat, there was a feature article in a magazine called EOS, which tells the story of the gas leaks allies and our roots in tree advocacy work. So that could provide good context. I think that one of the challenges with this is that the utility companies hire arborists and sponsor conferences, and there's a whole career track of being a utility arborist. So the arborist community has been slow to recognize the problem, and also under-resourced, so the Garden Club of the Back Bay offered to buy the city arborist a CGI gas meter about 5 years ago, and they turned it down and said they just didn't have the capacity to look for gas leaks in tree pits. But the Chelsea study that Ania mentioned found that 30% of the dead trees had gas in the soil, which is significant. But it's not, it's more like honestly, like if a grad student did like a greenhouse study with growing trees, in gas contaminated pots and published that would be really helpful, because that's what's.
I was about to say, I think Nathan was gonna have a grad student do that in his backyard or something. There were rumors of that actually happening in a controlled experimental study.
Yeah.
I wanted to interject real quick and let everyone who's new know that there have been a lot of links thrown around this meeting, but they'll all be in the notes that are sent out after. I know a lot of articles and things have been talked about, but we'll make sure you all get those.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, so thanks, Molly, David, Claire, and Ania. Thank you so much for joining us for the first time. And now your update is really appreciated. I'm learning a lot from hearing you speak, and I can't wait to learn more about the group. So thank you.
Jarrell, I had a quick question.
Oh, okay.
Which is this subject is sort of new to me, the gas leak subject. So David, the meter that you got, and as you know, we're going to be planting more street trees in East Boston in empty tree pits where there aren't trees anymore, and we don't know how they died. So does this device allow you to be able to test the soil to see if it has methane?
So it's a big stick. You stick it in the soil and it gives you a reading. So I think, Bill, once we get comfortable using it, I definitely want, as we do any plantings in public spaces, to do gas readings first.
Great.
Yeah, and I think having Bob and Nathan and actually one of his grad students, Jess Wright, who some of you might know, help us think through that would be really great. And then we'll see how that ties into the urban forest plan.
Great, thank you.
They're expensive, these devices, very expensive.
Okay, Susan, do you have a quick question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Susan Stamps. I'm on the Arlington Tree Committee. These meetings are so inspiring. We got a gas leak detector about a year ago. I think it cost us about $1,000. Excuse me, the town. We have a very proactive tree warden now, Tim LaQueve. And so he's been using it in our fall and spring plantings for a year and a half now. And so every possible tree pit, he goes up and down the streets and he sticks the probe in the soil. And he has found a lot of gas. We have a lot of gas leaks here, like everywhere. So, and then he doesn't plant there. So I just wanted to encourage people to try to get that money out of the DPW budget and get yourself one, because it saved us from a lot of dead trees. And if you have any, the tree person in your city or town, if you have any questions, I'm sure that our tree warden would be happy to talk to you. He's a very friendly guy. Thanks.
I also, just to mention on this topic, Ania mentioned that the gas safety bill has two provisions that are related to trees, one of which allows cities and towns to claim damages against utility companies for trees killed by gas, which right now the utility companies right now are not required to fix leaks unless they're in imminent danger of explosion. So it sort of gets into this technical gas leak grade system. In addition to the provision that towns would be able to be reimbursed for their dead trees, the bill also changes a gas leak in a tree critical root zone into an automatic grade 2 leak, which speeds up the timeline of its required repair.
Because as Sarah just asked the question in the chat, gas companies do not have to fix a leak if it's killing a tree unless it's in danger of explosion. And so if you have it out somewhere that's not near, so it's in danger of explosion when it's close to a building. It's not close to a building, they don't have to do anything. And so unfortunately, you should still call just because they should come check it out, but they don't have to fix it. So it has been, I live on a street with 16 trees. All 16 trees have been killed by gas leaks.
Can I just jump in here? This is Susan Stamps again from the Arlington Tree Committee. Our tree ward, we have filed thousands of dollars of claims against National Grid for killing our street trees. We have gotten quite a bit of money from them. They were paying us like 50 cents on a dollar, and now it's like to 10 cents a dollar, and we're just a constant thorn in their side. And I urge everyone to get their DPWs, their tree warden, their legal department, whoever it is to don't take this lying down, like just pepper National Grid with claims.
Hey, Susan?
Yeah, we have to change the law, but that's it. Yeah.
I think, and I'm just going to reflect back on all the energy and the ideas presented here that, and Jarell and Natalie, maybe in a committee or whoever, maybe we devote December or a session in January to learning about what places like Arlington are doing, and actually coming up with like a 1-page or 2-page guide for other municipalities to do, because that lawsuit issue, that damages issue, is something that I've heard a lot about, and I'm just not sure how it works, and I'm sure a lot of people on the call don't know how it works. We could talk about where to purchase gas meters and maybe come up with a way to train people on that. I think there's a lot of energy. I hear a lot of really great ideas.
Well, I'm actually in favor of class action lawsuit against National Grid.
Well, we could talk about that too.
So yeah, I'm in.
Right.
I would also, so another opportunity is that you could contact your state rep and senator and ask them to co-sponsor the Municipal Reforestation Act. And we can get more information and fact sheets to you, and then you could you could just write a simple email saying, hey, this is really important because XYZ, could you please co-sponsor this bill? they tend to not hear from their constituents that much. And so if they get a few emails, they, co-sponsoring a bill doesn't mean they're even going to vote for it. It just means their constituents ask them to. So it kind of elevates that this issue is important, sort of overall. So it's very helpful if you could do that. And as I said, we can get more information and fact sheets to you so that it's easy for you to do.
All right, so we do have another three
Thank you,
groups
Claire.
that,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Thanks,
move us
Dave.
along. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Darrell.
Dave.
No, you go. You go. I insist.
All right. Thank you. So we'd like to have some updates from Friends of Millennia Cast.
Jarrell, Yvonne is not here, but
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I could briefly, I think some people have been on the listserv emails, but we started a process just this week with Alenza Michelle. She's a facilitator, and she's going to do some workshops with us so we can kind of work on coming to consensus around turning our values into principles so that we can accelerate our campaign for Greenway on Melniacas. We had such a great victory with stopping the state contract, but going forward and taking the next steps has been a little more confusing. So that process is just beginning. So that's really all I mean, I'm sure Yvonne could say more. She's been doing survey collections. Oh, Sarah's here too. Maybe Sarah has something she wants to add.
If people are interested in being more engaged, there's a Facebook page, or contact Allison or me. It's an ongoing effort. The city stopped their plan that was in progress, and they're going to be having another round of planning. So if that interests you, how to get the Melniacas Boulevard, for those that don't know, was part of the interstate highway plan that didn't move forward, that created Southwest Corridor Park and Melniacas Boulevard. A lot of homes were destroyed, people were displaced. And so there's a real sentiment and historic opportunity to do something good here, and just let us know if you're interested.
Allison has been at this for a decade,
Yeah.
and as have some other key advocates, and just so appreciative of, when Allison shared with us all. I was thinking about this the other day, Allison, the trove of documents you had collected over the years. It was overwhelming.
Right.
How much work you had put into it.
Right, but I have to say, March 2020 and the few months afterwards, when David and Speak for the Trees and Conservation Law Foundation stepped in, that was our step forward with the city, because it was just a small legal step, but just saying, hey, you're taking down almost 200 trees. Are you holding city street tree hearings, and which is required? And the answer was no, they hadn't, and they didn't want to, because of course holding a hearing for 200 trees, imagine. So but that was CLF and Speak for the Trees that really helped push us, and the petitions and so on. But thank you so much for sticking with us too, through what has been a few difficult months, figuring out how do we go forward.
And a big shot in the arm from Yvonne, who unfortunately is not here today, but has been before. There was a Boston Sunday Globe, maybe, big article showing her wrapping ribbons around all the trees that were at risk, and a petition that came out of that, a follow-up, got something like 14,000 signatures. So it's a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Allison. All right, so we're going to move on to our next community, community update from Lakita Jackson of the Crane Ledge Woods Coalition.
Nice job, Terrell. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
for having me. Good morning, everyone. Some of you may have seen me before at some of our Crane Ledge Woods Coalition's neighborhood or community meetings. It's a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate the invite, Jarrell and David, and we appreciate the allyship, right? David has connected with us earlier on, and we so appreciate that partnership. I'm going to attempt to share my screen now. But as I was introduced, my name is Lokita Jackson. I am the co-chair of Roseberry Ruskindle Road Neighborhood Association in Hyde Park area of Boston. And I'm also facilitator of the Crane Ledge Woods Coalition. So as I share my screen, I'm gonna hopefully get through this and go through this rather quickly for you, staying within my allotted time slot. And let's see if I can minimize this. There we go. So the coalition is made up of several neighborhood associations across Mattapan, Hyde Park, and Roslindale. You can see some of them there, as well as other community organizations, civic leaders, and activists, and of course, the concerned residents. And just to not go by so quickly of that beautiful scenery there, but that's from Crane Ledge Woods. So brief overview for you. Crane Ledge Woods is a 24-acre woodland. It's one of the last unprotected urban wilds in Boston. It sits at the nexus of an environmental justice population, predominantly Black and Brown community, where you have Hyde Park, Roslindale, and Mattapan, just sitting around it, so to speak. It's right there at the line of Hyde Park and Roslindale, and then Mattapan is literally a stone's throw away. It is currently and has been owned by Jubilee Christian Church. They're located in Mattapan, Massachusetts for many years now. And so of course we want to speak right up front and say that we respect and its private property rights since it is privately owned, but we are advocating for full conservation, that total 24-acre woodland, full conservation. And so we're hoping to be able to reach a mutually agreed resolution with the owner, the city, and all parties. Just a bit, I'm not going to read through all of this. We have this page about the environment and public health. You all, I would be preaching to the choir so that I don't have to go into the benefits of trees, tree canopy, especially with the climate crisis that we are in the midst of. So you all understand the need to mitigate. Land use and equity, I'm sure you all are familiar with that as well. But I do want to just stress that, again, this particular acreage of land is in the middle of an environment or community that has been historically underserved and de-invested. And so we haven't had the investment over a course of, what to say, centuries probably, as should have been, at least decades, because of course the change in the demographics of the community. But this is an opportunity for the city to step up, and even the state. We're willing to receive funds from all who will be willing to contribute to acquire the land, but to really step up and kind of right some of the historical wrongs and forge a new path forward that's built upon equity. And so with our mayor-elect, Wu, we're hoping that we could do that with this property. And when I mentioned earlier about environmental justice populations, for those people who are not familiar with it, you can see highlighted there the official state definition for an environmental justice, aka EJ population. And so where incomes are below the 65% of the state's annual median household income, or minorities are at least 40% of the population, or 25% or more of the households lack English language proficiency. So we want climate adaptation to be equitable, and right now it's not. And so this is just a visual showing you with this bar chart and really underscoring the fact that Hyde Park has led as far as the net tree canopy loss across all Boston neighborhoods and across all the different categories, land use categories. So let's just talk about the threat that is facing this property right now. 14 of the 24-acre property, those 14 acres are under imminent threat because a developer, Lincoln Property Company, has submitted a letter of intent to the Boston Planning and Development Agency as of March 11th this year. They're proposing 270 unaffordable rental units with the minimum 13% of affordable units there. And so based upon meetings that we've had so far, BPDA sponsored meetings, with the developer, we understand that they're focused on 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, where 2 bedroom apartments could be anywhere between $2,800 and $3,100 a month. That is not affordable housing. And so I want to stress the point that the Crane Ledge Woods Coalition is not against development. We are not anti-development. We're for responsible development, and this one is not. And so as you see the stats there, 415 surface parking spaces and a private amenity building with private pool and so forth. Here's a visual of the site outlined in red. You can see the 14 plus 10 acres totaling the 24 acres owned by Jubilee Christian Church. Just on the upper left of that, you can see parcel owned by Eversource that was purchased, I believe, back in 2014. That is a landfill under that. They seeded and is green now, but landfill that's holding debris from the Big Dig, as well as the lead abatement from the Boston Public Schools. So the 14 proposed acres on the left here, and we're going to just zoom in this next visual to really show you the 14 acres with those 9+1 buildings and all of that hard surface. Can someone say Heat Island? So that's what they're looking to take that beautiful green and change it into, from this to this. Now, Mass Audubon is a great partner of ours as well, and they helped us to create this visual to really drive home the point of the impact, of course, as we know, of climate change, but then what's going to happen if this proposed development takes place. And so we're looking at an increase even more with the temperatures, right? Precipitation, heat-related illnesses, energy usage. And so one of the bullets that I just want to highlight here is that in environmental justice neighborhoods, they contain 3 times the average amount of impervious surfaces than other communities in the state of Massachusetts, 3 times. And so the severity of the heat stress and the flooding and so forth is felt within these communities. It was great that David many months ago shared some stats with us, and I kind of built upon that here where we see, and you all I'm sure know this, but tree canopy cover about 40% has the largest cooling effect, and so of nearly 10 degrees. Crane Ledge Woods currently has a 48% tree canopy cover, so it has been cooling this community for many, many years. And in the upper right here, there's just a visual that's just showing the connection of the Hyde Park, Rosendale, and Mattapan neighborhoods, and with the Crane Ledge Woods, those 24 acres right here. So quickly, just want to say that we gave updates in our September meeting about the Article 80 process from the Boston Planning and Development Agency. And this just highlights some of the things that they have done thus far. The last 2 I really want to underscore. So having spoken with Caitlin Coppinger, who is the project manager for this proposed development, she had shared how they were targeting to post the developer responses to questions that were posed during the public and IAG impact advisory group meetings that were held. And so she had targeted by the end of September. They have been posted. They were posted a little after that, but they are posted. However, she shared that by October 15th, the BPDA had planned to submit all of the comments, questions, requests, and so forth from city departments, as well as any communities, organizations, or residents regarding the proposal to the developer by October 15th and post them online. To our knowledge, we're not aware whether they have submitted all of those pieces of information to the developer, but we do know that they have not posted it online as of yet. So all of the questions, the requests for different things, including the coalition's request for a public scoping meeting where the community has input to what the BPDA would be submitting to the developer, that the developer would ultimately have to return, which would be an impact report explaining and answering all of those different requests and issues. And so we've held 4 meetings thus far this year. The first comment period, the first and only so far comment period that the BPDA had open for the public, they received 415 comment letters. Over 400 of them were against the proposal. Yay. Probably many of you weighed in. Thank you so much. And so we do ask people to continue to weigh in, to lean into this. We have a new mayor coming on board. We encourage residents and organizations to send her a letter in support of acquiring and preserving Crane Ledge Woods. We have an online petition with over 3,000 signatures. More than 1,000 are Boston residents as of now. We encourage you, if you have not, please sign our petition. That's going to be included in our mayoral sign-on letter that we're going to be given to Mayor Wu. This will be post November 16th, of course. So we ask for your signature. We also, during that comment period with the BPDA, we submitted an 18-page technical letter. And in that, we included the need for an accurate and complete natural resource assessment. And so we haven't heard a response as of yet regarding that request as well. And I already mentioned the review that we had requested. And then the last few slides, we have requested of the city to evaluate Crane Ledge Woods for the natural resources. We also, because of the generosity of Mass Audubon, were able to say if they didn't want to foot the bill for that expert, for an independent expert to do so, Mass Audubon had offered to pay for it. So we did have a meeting with the Conservation Commission, a hearing, excuse me, on October 20th. A result of that, they denied our request for delineation of applicability of wetlands. They denied it on the grounds of insufficient evidence, although we had images of wetlands, plants, and so forth, but they denied that. So we have since appealed to the Mass DEP. We sent that at the top of this week. We will be keeping everyone informed who wants to be informed of that. And so we have an upcoming meeting with the city's environment chief, Reverend White Hammond, in the coming days. We're looking forward to that, especially as this transition with our mayor who has the Green New Deal and appears to be much more green friendly. And so we're just estimating that all 24 acres cost $16 million. We really don't know. We would love to know, but based upon the rule of thumb that we see has been used, the cost per square foot, I think it's around about $18 or $17. We use that to get to the $16 million number for the 24 acres. And so we are looking at various different options for funding, starting with the city of Boston. It would be a great opportunity, again, for the city just to correct some historical wrongs and really stand by what they say, because there are many documents and reports of their own that mention Crane Ledge Woods or the eagerness to preserve tree canopy, to mitigate climate crisis, and to really build in climate resilience into the infrastructure of the city. So we would love for them to live up to this regarding these 24 acres. Well, we're also looking at state and even federal and possibly private funding. Action steps, as I close, just encourage you to reach out to city councilors, Mayor-elect Wu, sign our sign-on letter. I know Lisa is with me, as well as Rick and George from the coalition, and they're putting into the chat different links and information for you. One will be, how do you get to the ally sign-on letter? For those of you who've already signed on, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Again, I've mentioned the petition. There's the link there. Please spread the word, post it on social media and things like that. Feel free to donate if you find it a worthy cause. Please donate. You can email us with ideas, and thank you for those who have been doing so. And then if you'd like a yard sign, we do have yard signs that have been created and we've been posting them. People have been putting them out. Just email us. We definitely will get them to you. More information about us, you can see at savecraneledgewoods.org. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Lakita. That was wonderful. That was really, really wonderful. And yeah, I think that you put out a lot of information there. And if anyone has questions, they have ways they could reach you. Molly, you have a question? We have to move on, but go ahead, Molly, please.
I don't know if this will be a quick question, but I'm curious what the church's motivation is to sell the land. Is there anything beyond just finances?
Yeah, no, as of what we heard and what they answered to the Boston Globe and the August 8th article, it's just a matter of selling the land. So they don't have a preference either way.
So they don't really want to be land managers. That's more so the case here.
Well, there would not be a land, well, yeah, they are essentially, even though
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people beg to
I'm
differ.
gonna put
But
something.
yeah, they're looking to sell the 14 acres. As far as the 10 acres, we are not sure yet. They definitely didn't put that in the deal for this developer. The developer did share that they were interested in the 10 acres, the additional 10 acres, but the church did not yield to that. But it does seem like they may not be in for managing land. They haven't answered that question. We didn't pose it that way, but.
Okay, and I know we don't have very much time. I'm gonna put a link in the chat. There is a carbon credit program for cities, and they have a preservation protocol. So could be of interest. You can generate carbon credit, could align with city goals. Just gonna put that in there as a resource.
Yeah, I think I shared that at one point with Lakita
Yeah,
early on, and we haven't explored it fully. Lakita, I just want to say you've come a long way, and so impressive with all the research, outreach, and capacity community work you've done. And you know, Lakita's been giving a lot of talks about this. I know that you gave one the other week. I think you're giving one next week. And then little plug for Speak for the Trees. We're having our annual celebration next Wednesday at 6, and Lakita's group with the Crane Ledge Coalition is going to be one of the 3 groups receiving an award for all their advocacy work this year, as will Bill's group actually. So a little preview for that.
So I think that was fantastic, Lakita. I'm just thinking that, you know, I'm awesome that you're meeting with Michelle, but the transition team people are reaching out to folks to say, what do you want? And it seems to me like if we know any of these transition people, we should all be sending in comments about this. So for example, Kanan reached out to me. So I've added this to my list of what I think needs to happen. But it seems like if we all send these comments, not only to Michelle, but to anyone on the transition team, it would help.
That's a great point, Anita. Thank you for that. Absolutely. I agree with that.
All right. Thank you.
One sec, Jarrell, do you know, sorry, Anita, do you have a list of transition team folks that you can share with us or share with Natalie, and Natalie can stick them in the
I can share it with Natalie. You'll know a lot of people on there. We
I'm
should
sure.
be emailing anyone you know. You should email and just say, this is one of the things that needs to, you know, we want.
David Kanan had reached out to me as well. I just put the link into the chat. So,
oh, great. Thank you.
So you can go and put any information you want in there and direct, I guess, the transition team as to what your thoughts are.
But I'm just saying, like, if you personally know any of these transition people, email them.
We've been in contact with one for sure, because we know, but yeah, that's great.
All right, folks, we have one more presentation from Alana Feaster from Harvard Commons. She's been patiently waiting. Alana, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Thank you both, David and Jarrell, for taking the time to speak with me. I know we've been emailing back and forth. Jarrell, you've been very helpful in inviting me today, so thank you. It has been a wealth of information just from this one meeting that I've received from all of you guys, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
But I'm really here because I'm talking about 4 acres of land. We're talking about a project that is being proposed through the Brook Charter School to develop 4 acres of land behind the Harvard Commons development, which will destroy the tree canopy that we have there in place right now. I've been very vocal within our homeowners association. I also attend a CAC meeting where I've been very vocal about the impacts that this will have for the community and trying to really work and understand the process to preserve this tree canopy. We already have within this development wetlands that are protected. And I was speaking with Jarrell earlier about trying to understand how we can then further extend that protection to that green space and preserve it. It's just like an uphill battle for me. I feel like very stressed out at my wits end. Like I shouldn't have to fight this hard to advocate for the preservation of this tree canopy. And I just really want to lean into a lot of the information and knowledge that you all have to hopefully navigate this process, find a way that, because I even suggested, I said, okay, so you're talking about you want to build a soccer field. So they're proposing a 4-acre soccer field. But I said, there's so many underutilized parks already in the city of Boston. This field is going to be the size of 4 football fields. I think it's going to serve over 3,000 families, and it's going to have huge impacts for our neighborhood and for the community and create a huge heat desert. There haven't been any impact studies done, to my knowledge, to really dive deep and understand what this will mean. And it's going to be built into perpetuity. So like once it's there, they're saying it's always going to remain as this space. So from my understanding right now with the land disposition agreement, the developer's trying to get approval so that he can move forward with this soccer field, but it has already been through the RFPs, I believe, approved as an urban farm, which would more align with what we want to do with like saving the trees and you know, the environment and that sort of a thing. So, but he's trying to work through the process to get that amended and changed, and that's where we are now. So I'm really just trying to advocate for the tree preservation, preserving the tree canopy, getting that land protected and protecting the neighborhood, and just don't know how to really. And so I've got a lot of great information, and Lokita, your presentation was amazing. So I was like taking notes, and from everybody else who spoke to, jotting down a lot of great things, and I have a lot of homework to do, but it's just overwhelming. Because I feel like I'm by myself, like even within my development, like I don't feel that people are as vocal, but it's like a real problem. And I feel like we need to be one voice and collectively say, no, like this is not okay. We are the community, we live here, and our voices need to be heard and our concerns validated, and that's not what's happening.
Thank you so much, Alana. That is, after, you know, speaking with you and looking at the letter that you wrote and looking at the development, the proposed development site, I personally feel like I really want to do my best to support you, support the neighbors, and you know, support this effort. I know that, you know, speaking with David, you know, this is an issue that, you know, it's a small area, but it's still a big issue. And I think that, you know, you being here today, I'm glad you came, study these notes. You have a lot of people now that you're part of our group that you could reach out to. And we're going to find support for this to save those trees. We're
Thank
trying to
you
do the
so
best we
much.
can. Yeah. David, you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I'm so grateful that you reached out to us. And like Darrell said, we're here to support you. And I'm going to suggest, if it's okay with you, Alana, that if there are people on the call who want to reach out to you to find ways to support you, that you share your contact information. We will do our best at Speak for the Trees as an organization to support you. We're a small but mighty team. But whatever we can do to lean in and support, but I also turn to the people on this call to sort of pitch in, learn more. Alana, if there's information you can share, the letter, if you feel comfortable sharing that, any other
Sure.
information about the project, so we can educate ourselves and maybe, you know, create it, you know, with our collective brain power, sort of recycle some of the information that's already been created, whether it's through Cane Ledge or Melnia Cass Boulevard, and sort of refurbish it for your, you know, it's the same story, right? It's the same story. We shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. We, you know, the more we can all sort of speak in a unified voice. You've come, I hope you feel like you've come to the right place and you found.
Oh, I do. I just feel so much. I feel like in other meetings that I've been stressed, and it's just been so much like I feel relaxed, and I feel like I'm really with people who understand the importance of this issue and not minimizing and kind of devaluing what I'm saying. So thank you for creating this space that, you know, this is able to be done. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here, Alana. All right, so it is.
Jarrell, I see Lisa has her hand up.
Oh,
And
okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah,
All
I do
right.
want to acknowledge it is past time, so we want no hard feelings. People have to leave, right? Go ahead, Lisa.
Sure. I'll be quick. Alana, it's so nice to meet you and hear your passion. And let's definitely get in touch. I put my email in the chat. Mount Hope Canterbury Neighborhood Association has been fighting to help protect the Canterbury Brook, which abuts the 4 acres that you're talking about. And so we've been doing some advocacy regarding those 4 acres, but not getting very far. So let's definitely work together on this.
Yes, I would love to connect. I will send my email as well. Yes, please. We will definitely link up. That would be great.
And this needs more advocacy from others as well.
I
So
agree,
anybody who's
I
up for it,
agree.
thank you.
Yes, because I feel, and again, I don't want to keep, belaboring the point, but I just feel like even within my homeowners association, like, it's just me. I mean, they may all feel the same way, but like, everyone's not saying it collectively. So it kind of, it's not holding as much weight, I feel, in the developer, because like, he's coming back to speak to us again in December. And I'm like, but why? He gives this high level overview of what he's doing. I'm like, let's peel this back and understand. I ask for something in writing at a granular level so I can really understand what you're talking about doing to our neighborhood. And we have yet to receive it. So just goes on and on and on.
Well, thanks again, Alana. Appreciate it. All right, so we were scheduled to have a discussion about how we can activate our members and encourage participation, but I think that we will probably save that for another meeting. But
I don't know if we need to save it for a meeting, Charles. I think we did it.
I was going to say that. But
I mean, the energy today,
yes.
and people just showing up and sharing.
Mhm.
You guys are all activated. I think it's how do we channel it now?
Yeah, how do we keep it going? How do we grow it and expand it?
Yeah.
But I think the expansion, having Alana connect with Lisa and Lokita offering her support to Alana, that's how it grows, and I think that's really great. So in closing, thank you all so much for being here for our November meeting. A reminder that we have our Speak to the Trees annual meeting on November 17th at 6 to 7 p.m. There is a link on our website in our events link. You can just sign up there, and we hope to see you there. We are going to be honoring a few organizations that are on today's call. So, you'll probably hear some familiar names, but we hope to see you there. And also a reminder that our next Boston Urban Forest Friends meeting is December 10th, 2021, and we hope to see you there soon. All right, other than that, thank you all so much. Have a great
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.